The evolution of your marketing will be the catalyst for the evolution of your business, and the evolution of your business will provide you with the freedom to focus on the evolution of your life. This is Evolved Marketing with Andrei and Brian. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Evolved Marketing Podcast. My name is Brian Brewer, along with my co-host Andrei Yermejev, and it's going to be just the two of us today, but these are some of our favorite episodes. While we do love the amazing guests and are very grateful of all the information and stories that they bring every now and then, it's kind of cool just to get together with my partner and my friend Andrei and chat. Today, we're actually going to talk about passive income. And we might go into some strategy, we might go into some mindset, but the reason we are going to talk about passive income is because while we still have been releasing an episode of the Evolved Marketing Podcast every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Eastern or Central, one of the two, and I think it's Central. Anyways, every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Central. This is actually the first time we've gotten together in a couple of weeks because we had alternating vacations. 2 weeks ago, I was on vacation in the Bahamas with my family. The kids had spring break. And last week, Andrei was in New Mexico at 11,500 feet in the mountains. And so we weren't able to get together. But yeah, we're excited to bring you this episode today. So let's just jump into it. Let's welcome onto the show my podcast partner, Andrei. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you? Nice to see you again. It's been,
good
2 weeks since we did an episode?
It's been too long. We had some quick chats just to keep everything organized behind the scene. But yeah, this is the first time in 2 weeks we've been back at it face to face. I missed you, man.
Yeah, man. And it's crazy how we're both in Texas, but then our school's spring break is like completely separate weeks, So it was kind of weird.
Yeah, I think the school district that my kids are in, I think we have one of the earlier spring breaks because we're right at the beginning of March. We're in a suburb north of Dallas, but actually Dallas ISD, the school district down in Dallas, they had their spring break the same week that y'all had it. And we always notice it when we go on spring break because we've been fortunate enough to go on spring break for the past 4 or 5 years now. And it seems like towards the end of our spring break, wherever we're at, it starts to get busier, like people are coming in. So I think a majority of the people have the same spring break as you do in Texas.
Well, here's the crazy part, right? Like you had it first. It was 1 week first. And then the following week was my daughter's spring break. And for my my niece, which is also in Dallas, it was after that. So it's completely all over the place. Like it doesn't make sense to me. Like everything should be like the same, right? But then I'm guessing they don't want spring break to be that busy for like everybody. You get me? So
yeah, if everybody went on spring break, Florida would be overrun. The Bahamas would be overrun. Flights would be $7,000 a seat, and it's probably a good thing that they spread it out because I don't necessarily need more people on my vacations with me.
yeah. So how was the Bahamas? I mean, were you doing any work at all, or you were just enjoying riding those waves?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was pretty chill, man. I set up some automations with my email ahead of time. So I did have some emails going out. So I guess you can count that as work, but I didn't really mess with them once we got to the Bahamas. I had about $200 a day in TikTok ads running. So that kind of kept the traffic flowing. I did not create any content while I was on vacation. So it was kind of nice to remove myself from that. Obviously, that's not sustainable. As soon as I got back into town, I started creating content again to keep the brand and business and audience engaged. But yeah, I really didn't do a whole lot. I mean, I check my email every single day, regardless of what's going on. And I think we chatted a couple times about, getting podcast episodes uploaded. But beyond that, no, I didn't really do any work. And luckily, we still had the passive income coming in. How about you? You were in New Mexico, and I always forget the name of the town that you were in.
Yeah, so the town is Ruidoso. So it was like the first time I ever heard of it. So we went over there. It was right up in the mountains. We wanted to go for the snow, and we indeed find snow. So it was cool. There's not that much snow, at least where I'm from, or where I live right now in San Antonio. But yeah, I didn't know how high that place was. 11,500 feet. That's
yeah. When you sent me that picture and you told me that you were 11,500 feet and you were in New Mexico, that's got to be I think close to Breckenridge territory. And that's what I said to you. Because I think Breckenridge, if you go to the top of the peak, I think the city sits at like 9,600 feet. And then if you go to the top of the peak, I think it's like 13,000. So obviously that's way up there as far as United States territory goes. But yeah, 11,500 feet. That blew my mind. I asked you if you were from Peru or maybe Nepal because you were up so high in elevation. I think I would have passed out. Did you feel light of breath or anything?
Oh yeah. So what we had to do, we reached the town, right? But then in order to get to the snow, we had to go up the mountain. And that's to go up the mountain, it was like a windy road and it was a little scary because it's only one way each way and right next to me is the cliff, So we were going like zigzags, doing snakes in the mountain, going back and forth all the way to the top of the mountain. And then that's where finally we saw the snow. But yeah, I felt dizzy. My daughter had a headache, so it was like, wow, like this is really high. And especially because I went to Peru last year and the elevation for the highest place that I went where is the city is called Cusco. It's only 11,000 feet, right? And people tell you like you have to take it easy because the altitude, the air is super thin. And yeah, I had no idea 11,500 feet we were gonna go like right now, just literally driving, So
That's cool. Did you actually drive up there or did you do the driving?
yeah, I did all the driving. It took me 9 hours together.
White knuckling up the mountain and stuff like that, or did you handle it
Yeah,
pretty easily?
no, it was good. It was good. I had one coffee. We just ride the wave, and the cool thing about it is we listen to podcasts, so it was nice and chill. Listen to conversations. I was talking to my wife, and yeah, I mean, so going back to like the theme of the podcast today, talking about passive income, to an extent, what does it mean, passive income? Because you still have to put in the work, you get me? It's like you have to plan ahead. For example, you went to the Bahamas and I'm guessing you did schedule some emails, right? While you were out there. So you didn't have to worry about. So it's basically like preparation for the passive income or what's your intake in the
Yeah, absolutely. I like to say semi-passive income because when you say the word passive income, that sounds like you're parking $1 million and just letting the interest come in, or
it's
or
like
you're
you're putting your
buying,
hands up and you're
yeah, or you're
chilling,
buying
right?
real estate and you're letting somebody else manage it and you're just collecting the mailbox money or something like that. And I can't say that that is the case necessarily because, like you said, I did schedule some automation. So the way my business is set up is I run ads and I create content to drive traffic into my funnels. From there is an automated email sequence, which is really, really passive, especially from the ad side, right? But what happens, and this is where a lot of new affiliates or first-time affiliates or inexperienced affiliates and some experienced affiliates as well really miss an opportunity is most affiliates who are set up, they do have that initial automated sequence, but what they don't do is they don't email their list after people complete that initial campaign or that initial automated sequence. So that was really what I was focusing on in preparation for my vacation. And you're exactly right. I queued up a bunch of broadcast emails and I staggered them. So I knew this one was going out on Monday and this one was going out on Tuesday. And then I had 2 going out on Thursday and then I had 3 on Friday and so on and so forth. And I basically just planned out my campaign. So everyone who wasn't in the initial automation would still be getting emails. And it basically looks like I never left, even though I really had limited Wi-Fi and almost no cell service. Everything looked as if I was still active inside the business. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to achieve when we say passive income. Can we remove ourselves, but keep the engagement with our audience? And if engagement's just sending emails for a week, that's fine. So that's what I consider passive income. And it was a great week. That's the main thing is, I said I created content when I got back, but during that week, my income didn't drop off. As a matter of fact, I had one day that I think we did close to $7,000 that day. So that's pretty good for my business. That's a good day. and every other day was just kind of pretty much right on average of where it's been for the past few months. So I mean, to me, that's pretty passive right there when you can leverage
Yeah.
automation.
Yeah, and even in the beginning, like people say, yeah, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work, and yes, it does take a lot of work. But when you're freshly starting into this, you might be working already your 9 to 5. So when that happens, you start learning a new skill, or we'll talk about affiliate marketing right now. So you start learning affiliate marketing right now, and then you put your content out there on social media, right? And then you go back to your 9 to 5, and then those videos could be blowing up. They People are already buying into your affiliate link, right? So that literally, to me, that's the definition of passive income, because you're not there working for hours, right? Like nobody's paying you for that time that you're putting in with your business,
And I
right? So
think that's an important distinction to make, because and I really wanted to highlight this because this was so important to me when I was first getting started. So I kind of wanted to jump on this, Andre. When I was first getting started, I was waiting tables at a restaurant. I was working like probably 50 to 60 hours a week, because I was the sole income for our family. My wife was a stay-at-home mom with our newborn daughter. We were living in San Diego, so rent prices were pretty expensive. So I was working a lot. And when I got home after working the 11 or 12-hour shifts or whatever, at some point I wanted to see my brand new daughter, right? So I didn't want to spend all my off time working on my business or my side hustle that I was trying to launch, which was affiliate marketing at the time. If I was in my 20s and single, that would have been fine. But I was in my 30s and had a family that I wanted to spend time with, so that was not fine. So really, it was important to use the content and affiliate marketing model for me, because if I had an hour one day, I could invest that in the content. And just like you said, that would be somewhat evergreen long term. It was like I was investing into a business that would continue to grow. Like the time I put in would continue to yield results, I guess is the best way to put it. And that was passive income. And if I was, for example, selling a service, like a coaching service or what have you, I would have never been able to scale, because it's still trading time for money. Or
right.
if, I was just relying on ads back then, I might have gotten to a point where if a good ad goes to crap, then I would have had to invest a whole bunch more hours to get the ad campaigns up to where they were, right, to sustain it. But with content, just like you said, you create it and it builds on itself. If you have 10 minutes today to create content, then create a piece of content, because that's going to be like another block in the pyramid of your traffic machine that filters to automation. And because we're affiliates, no fulfillment means no resistance on the back end. So that's a very important distinction to make.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when I first started too, like there's no way I could have gotten a second job, right? Like I was gonna be away from my family even more. Like what's the point, Like my wife was also staying home. Like why is she gonna get a job just so she can pay for childcare? It just doesn't make sense when that happens. But now that my wife is also home, she's also doing affiliate marketing with me. We have a complete different experience. Like we're having fun while doing it. For example, like we went on this trip, and it just felt like a marketing campaign for us, because we were just over there having fun, and of course, we were recording what we were doing, plus making money. It's like you're marketing for free. Like it makes it easier to market, especially when you have somebody, and especially because you are already out there doing something cool. People want to see that. People want to basically see what you do, your vacations, your successes, your failures. So as long as you start documenting what you go through in life, especially with your business, then people are gonna get all the information, get all the knowledge just from your experience.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that we're doing with this podcast too. Like we're just sharing experiences, and people are just learning from it.
And it always amazes me. Like, I don't know if I have that imposter syndrome or whatever, but it always amazes me when people say, "Hey, I've been listening to your podcast. I've listened to every episode, and we I love it, and it's given me good information." I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot of pressure now. But I do appreciate everyone who
Yeah.
is tuning in, and I do hope that we're bringing value. So back to the passive income, Andre. I'm not going to ask you for specific numbers, but you had a pretty decent week while you were away, right? The income still came in. You made some high ticket commissions, yeah?
Yeah, especially with this new program that I started, I was able to make literally passive income. Like I just said that, like how you said, you say your plan for the vacation, and then you just stay consistent as well. And yeah, I was able to make money while I was out there having fun with my wife and my daughter. So it's amazing.
It's crazy. And that's what's really cool about the affiliate marketing and really anything in general is it is frustrating in the beginning, especially when you're busy and you don't know what you're doing and you're trying to scrape together a spare minute to create a piece of content or build a funnel and you go to build your funnel and you can't figure out why your domain name won't connect. And then you can't figure out why emails aren't sending. And then you figure it out. But the cool thing is all of that stuff that you go through, when you go through it, you learn it, and you only have to learn it once. Or in my case, sometimes I'm a little slow. So sometimes I have to learn things a couple of times the hard way. But for the most part, you really only have to learn it once and then you know it for life. I mean, you just went on vacation with a brand new product that you really haven't been promoting for more than, I think, a couple of weeks. And
It
it
was
was
like 1 week,
making
yeah.
money. And it was making money.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, of course, I do have the advantage of, I already have my social media accounts running, so that plays a big part on my successes because I'm a person that didn't just focus on one product. Of course, in the beginning, it was just one product. And if you are a beginner, for everybody listening out there, focus on just one product. Okay. That's going to be really important for your success. But eventually, I was promoting different products, but because of my social media following, I was successful with everything that I promoted. There was not one product that I didn't promote that didn't make me any money. Let's put it that way. And that's just because, just how you said it, I learned the skills and I only learned it once. I didn't have to relearn how to do stuff, right? So I can literally change my offer. I'm not saying that this will be for everybody. Was there any confusion? Maybe there was a little bit, but just how we learned from our past guests, you want to give them A or B, eventually they're going to buy either A or either B. You get me? So that's
Yeah,
what I did. And it worked, right? Like right now, everything is running smoothly. I did have that advantage, like I said, but you have to trust the process.
absolutely. And like you said, you have to really treat marketing and your business like a business, right? You have to kind of take the emotion out of it, and I thought of that because when you said you switched products, right? You switched your main core offer, and that is because you saw something perhaps better, or you saw something that is maybe more in line with what's going on in the market right now as far as you see it, or whatever reason. But the bottom line is obviously you have the concerns about the confusion, right, with your audience, with your email list. Hey, I've been talking about this thing for X number of months or years, and now we're switching to this thing. Yeah, some people maybe are going to go from being right on the fence, just about ready to buy that initial product, to, well, now what's this thing? And they got to start over from scratch and they got to take their 6-month consideration phase. But if we look at the math, what's the other side of that, right? You had an audience that had made their decision on the initial core product, either yes or no. And if they decided yes, they either implemented or they didn't, like sometimes happens. If they decided no, kind of once they decide no to an offer, it's like they kind of start tuning things out. So bringing in that new offer, which was obviously vetted and is proven to be a good offer and a good product, when you bring in that kind of new interest, it really excites a lot of the people on your list who may be grown stagnant. So the math says, hey, when the time is right, it's okay to make a product switch. Don't jump around from product to product before you see success, but you'll know once the interest starts to wane and you got a big list and your list is actually bigger than maybe the traffic you're getting in from the front end because you've been doing this for a while. Hey, it might be time to make a switch, right?
100%. And I base it off as results as well, right? For example, I was getting really good results and then I wasn't, right? And I was trying new things out I invested in myself more. I changed my strategies. I changed, let's say, my call to actions. I changed the type of videos that I was making. I changed a lot of things just to see if I could get back to the same spot that I was before. And what happened was that I couldn't get it, right? Like I couldn't get to the same spot. Like I didn't know honestly what was happening. And that's okay. Everything will be always be up and down. Um, but then I also started thinking about, okay, what about the people that are already in my email list, right? Like I've been talking about this product for such a long time. If I'm not getting results, I doubt the people in my list are getting the results as well. You get me?
Right.
So then that's when I started promoting this other thing, and I'm sure that got a lot of people in my email list excited about it because look, now I started this new thing, and I'm getting results almost right away, right? So now those people are gonna be like, okay, well, yeah, you did tell me about this product first, but I too have not been seeing the results that I should have seen. So now with this new thing, it's like a new opportunity. You can just, if something doesn't work for you, there's just so much you can try. You get
Right.
me? You can just keep
Absolutely.
you can just keep doing it, doing it, doing it, and then what's gonna happen at the end? Like nothing's gonna happen. Yeah, you're just gonna get more frustrated. So it's always good to incorporate new things.
Yeah, and this isn't like a job, right? You don't just get paid for showing up. And I think that's what's hard for a lot of new folks, right? Like a lot of people, especially people who get into affiliate marketing, which is a great entry level entrepreneurship opportunity. It's a great beginner friendly business. I think it's the place every entrepreneur should start, or first time entrepreneur, if they're looking for a business or side hustle. But they come in, and I was the same way. You have this employee mentality where it's like, okay, if I go to work, I'm going to get paid. Well, when you're an entrepreneur, that's not the case. You don't get paid just for showing up. And I think that's what's hard on people. They say, well, I created the funnel, I created the content, and I haven't made the money, right? At this point, they've probably had 30 to 50 hours invested, and that can be frustrating. But the results come after the hard work is done in entrepreneurship. And really what it comes down to is you have to be a problem solver. Okay. My first thing I say to them is not, well, it's not going to work for you. No, it's like, all right, well, what's wrong? Right? Where do we look? Let's look at your funnel. Okay, all your links set up. Okay, you got the right copy. When people click over to the funnel, is it populating correctly on mobile? Because a lot of people overlook that. They build their funnel in their little editor and they don't even consider what it looks like on mobile. And you go to mobile and you got to scroll down 9,000 pages or 9,000 lines to find the button to opt into the email list. It's like, well, that's probably why that's not working. Or is it the content, right? If people don't come to your funnel pre-framed and excited about the offer, then they're going to be less likely to enter their email, right? People should be ready to give you their email address as soon as they click on your link before they even see the funnel. The funnel or the website or the landing page just kind of massages it a little bit to try to increase conversions, incrementally. So yeah, it's that problem solving that is, I think, tough for people when they're new to the game. But you've got the experience now, and you're just like, okay, we've tried this. That's not it. We've tried this. Okay, that's not it. What's the next thing we can try? Let's try a new offer, right? So speaking of this new offer, and it kind of cycles back to the passive income theme a little bit of today's show. Is everything the way you're promoting it? I mean, pretty much the same. Like I know the funnel's different. The copy on the funnel's different. The sales process might be different. Obviously the product's different, the creator's different, but for the most part, I mean, is it pretty much the same overall strategy, traffic to funnel to follow up?
Yeah, like it's almost the same thing. Of course, this one is not a low ticket offer. Let's put it that way. Legendary Marketer is a low ticket entry offer, which will probably get a lot of people in. Not everybody can afford a high ticket offer, so it is a little different. But the cool thing about it that I liked about this program has almost the same method as your program, Brian, which you offer a free course, you offer a free training. And that's what gets a lot of people in right away, and they get excited about it. And of course, in the back end, there is a high ticket offer that they can eventually purchase. But the initial free offer, it's amazing. They get so much value out of it just by opting into the funnel. So then that's how I'm able to promote it. So in that case, I guess I am promoting it a little differently just because I'm promoting it as a free training. Here you go. It's like a 15 module training, for free, and it's worth like a $1,000, and then you get it for free. You get me? So
Yeah.
that's what gets people in faster than any other thing that I ever done, especially promoting other high tickets. Because this is not the first high ticket offer that I promoted before. I've have promoted other high tickets before, and yes, you might get less sales, but you also need less sales to be better in a month.
Yeah, and that's really exciting to me because I love the free course model where you give away a free course up front. I happen to have some low ticket upsells, which actually converts really well. But of course, I have the high ticket on the back end. I don't think it's as high ticket as the course you're promoting now. But the thing is we have to look at the way marketing is done now to see where the best opportunity was. So for example, if you go back to like the early 2012, 2013, 2014s, when I first started, advertising was inexpensive. It was cheap, right? You could get clicks and it was not as heavily regulated, especially in our niche. So it made sense to have those tripwire offers, right? $7 offers, $15 upsells or whatever, because it would self-liquidate your ads, right? If your initial offer was $9, back in 2014, you could spend $9 in ads to get a customer. So you're self-liquidated at that point. Then everything else you sell is profit. Well, now that's not the case anymore, right? You're very rarely are you going to self-liquidate with your front end offer. You're going to need some back end high ticket stuff to make the average lifetime value of each customer pay for your ads. So the other side of that, though, is most people or a lot of people are using organic traffic methods, right? Because of the reach that you can get with short form content right now. Everybody's big on organic. Even big time producers or creators like Alex Hormozy, who's, he runs legitimate big businesses, but he's all in on content because it's the best value right now, right? So when you're creating content like that, you don't need the self-liquidating offer. What you need is a better offer. And that free course up front gets more leads. Now, as many leads might not convert because you're giving away a freebie, but if you can generate 3 to 5 times more leads, guess what? It's still going to convert better than the tripwire offer that's offered. So I love to hear that you have the opportunity to give away a free course on the front end that gives a lot of value, right? Because that builds trust, it builds confidence, it helps you generate more leads. It's just a good thing all around, yeah.
100%. I mean, they get to learn, especially from the beginning, right? For free. They don't have to spend any money, And then from there, if somebody ends up buying the high ticket, they're for sure are gonna put in the work because they already saw the value. Like if somebody, I don't know the numbers exactly, but how many people opt in to a free course and they still don't do it? You get me? Those people will never be successful with affiliate marketing. But then those people that actually at least do it and they're still asking questions, then those are the people that will eventually find that success that they're looking for.
Yeah, the people who are willing to go through a free course are the ones who end up usually being the most successful, like you said, because they're willing to do the work without the motivation, right? Like they don't have someone from behind cracking the whip. Like if you buy into a low ticket course, then you kind of feel bad if you don't take it. And that's kind of the philosophy behind that marketing, which it works. I'm not dogging it. It works extremely well. But the other side of that is if people go through a free course, they get value. Well, first of all, they went through the free course on their own without the whip or whatever. And then they got value. Now there's almost like reciprocity coming into play where it's like, okay, well, this person gave me so much for free. So I'm looking to invest money in education somewhere. So I kind of owe it to this person to stick with them because they've already taught me so much. And it's like Frank Kern's oldest trick in the book, show people you can help them by actually helping them. And that's exactly what he's doing, right?
Yeah. And you mentioned Alex Hormozy, right? That's the name that you said, right?
Yeah.
He's not the only one that does it either. Grant Cardone is all up in social media.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many big names that run multi-million-dollar businesses, and they're still creating content just like us. Right. They're still doing it. All they're doing is getting that traffic and sending them to like the email list, the opt-in page. They're having people opt into their list, right? The big names, big companies, big corporations, they're all doing it. So why are people not doing it? Like especially people like us, like regular people, why are they not doing it?
Social media broke down the barrier. It used to be before social media, you either had to start your own network, which who's going to start their own network? You're not going to just become the next CBS or ABC or NBC or whatever. So that was out of the question. Who had hundreds of millions of dollars to start a network? So what do? Well, you could start a magazine, but that's tens of millions of dollars. Okay, that's out of the question. So what are you going to do? Well, you had to pay for advertising space in order to get your message out. Now you just pick up your phone and you can get your message to the world. And that's really the internet opportunity. I think it's not like the internet, some magical money making machine. It's just a way for us to share our message with the world. And then obviously you can turn that attention into a business.
And you never know who's watching. I mean, there's been a lot of people that they're into music, right? And they start loading up their songs on TikTok or anywhere else, any type of social media, and then you hear them on the radio, and then they're famous after that, right? So you never know who's watching.
I was watching a commercial the other day, and that song that I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. We're gonna ride. That's still playing. Like that would not have been a song, and that would have not got the attention of whoever he partnered with. I don't know if it was Billy Ray or Ty McGraw or whoever, but that blew it up. Like that's because of the internet.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind the opportunities that are out there in the world, especially with online marketing, social media. YouTube is a big one too. I mean, if you upload something on YouTube, it's gonna be there forever, and it can be making you money nonstop if you use the right keywords and people are actually searching for that video that you just put out.
Yeah, sometimes it only takes one, right? Like YouTube, if we can go there for a minute, I always like to look at okay, so look at Mr. Beast. He's the YouTube king, right? And he's a billionaire now that he has his Beast Burgers and Feastables and all that stuff, or at least his company's worth $1 billion. He's probably not a billionaire on paper by any means. But the point is, all right, we are definitely not in the same niche as him. We don't have necessarily the same strategy, right? Like he's all about mass views. We're more about attracting the right customers and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean we can't learn from the king of YouTube. And if you've ever watched an interview with Mr. Beast, he says it again and again and again. He says, I believe it's so much easier to create one high quality video than to put out 10 videos of medium quality. You're going to get better returns on that. So you're going to get better returns doing one high quality YouTube video a month. And I'm not talking about shorts here. I'm talking about long form searchable YouTube videos. You're going to get better results long term over the years with one high quality video a month than putting out 12 medium to low quality videos a month. So that kind of, to me, makes it seem more doable, right? Do you think you could create 12 high quality videos a year? Well, that doesn't seem so hard.
Yep.
Creating 3 YouTube videos a week can get daunting, even for someone who's been creating content for 6 or 7 years. Like creating that many YouTube videos can drain you and get daunting. But that's not the model that works long term. Follow what Mr. B says. Set yourself a goal. Heck, make one high quality YouTube video a quarter if that's all you have the bandwidth for. That's 4 a year. But 3 years from now, that same video that you made, if it was high quality 3 years ago, is still going to be getting traffic, if not ranking highly in the search. And like I said, it only takes one really good high quality video to kind of pop off or get suggested. And I mean, your life can change.
And that's exactly my definition of passive income, because everybody has their own definition of passive income. My definition is put in the work now, relax later. You get me? Especially at the restaurants, in the mornings. What do you usually do? You prep for the rush. You prep for the busiest time, right? You put in the work. You work hard in the morning to be chilling in the afternoon, and that's another way of actually an example of it. But yeah, I mean, put in the work now, and then later on, those videos are still gonna be doing amazing, especially if you are putting the quality that they deserve on those videos, on that content.
Yeah, and if you don't know what to do, you're like, oh, that's great, Brian and Andrei, but I don't know how to create a high quality video. It has nothing to do with production quality. right? Like it really doesn't matter. Like you could prop up your iPhone in front of your computer, and if you don't know how to record your screen for whatever reason, you should probably Google it. But if let's say you didn't know how to record your screen, you could prop your iPhone up in front of your computer and actually like record the PowerPoint slides with the information that you're sharing. And as long as it was good information, it's going to be a high quality video. And if you don't know what to do, just try to help people more than everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I went from nobody knowing me in 2016 to everybody in the dropshipping space knowing who I was and making, just obscene money for a new affiliate marketer who finally broke it big because I would help more than everybody else. And it doesn't really take any more work. It actually takes less work in the long run because you get this reputation of helping people. And then it's just like people just want to give you money. It's like, yeah, is it harder to create a good tutorial or a good helpful video up front? Yeah. But if you do what's hard up front, then life becomes easy, just like prepping for a big shift at a restaurant. But if you try to like skimp it, like, I just want to make easy videos right now, guess what? Life's always going to be remaining hard for you because you're never going to get any momentum. You're never going to get any downhill snowball effect. It's just going to be like you're always going to be struggling, scraping by. So you got to do the hard work up front.
Yeah, and don't worry too much about the production. I mean, I read a story or I heard a story right now on social media where a rapper became super famous and because of his music video, and he basically recorded a music video on a $5 app on his iPhone. You get me? And he blew up. You get me? So like we don't need fancy apps. We don't need fancy cameras. All you need is your iPhone, your Android, whichever phone you have. But if what you're saying is valuable, people don't care about, oh, your video's blurry. You get me? They
Right.
don't care about it, but they care about the message. And the message is what's most important than, oh, I'm not wearing the right shirt. Oh, like there's people that they do videos on their PJs.
Right.
You get me? It doesn't matter about what it's on the video, but what your message is on the video.
Yeah.
So that's what's most important.
Sometimes the more like, I don't want to say crappy or low production, but sometimes if it looks more authentic if it's just like you sitting in your wherever you got your desk. If it's in your bedroom, it's in your bedroom. If it's in your garage, it's in your garage, as long as the information is good. And I go back to, gosh, I don't know if it was the second episode where we had Jeff Bannock on. Was that the second episode or the third episode?
The third episode.
The third episode. Okay. So I go back to the third episode. Something he said, he was like, and I'll paraphrase, I don't remember the exact quote, but he said, people are concerned about helping too much. Like if they help too much, then nobody's going to buy anything from them. Well, what did he say? He said, well, if you don't know how to help people, then maybe it's time to go learn something, bro. I think is what he said. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there eventually, you got to learn first. Like people try to skip that sometimes. You just got to learn. If you don't know how to help people, then go learn. That's why affiliate marketing, to me, where you're actually promoting the same course that you learn from, it sounds kind of weird, but it's like, it's the hack to me. It's like, all right, learn the product, learn the thing, and then you can help other people. And then when you help people a little bit, they're gonna be like, I want to learn more. Well, then you send them to the place that you learned and you make money. You make a recommendation to the resource that gave you the information.
and it's all about the recommendation, especially when you're promoting Amazon things. You buy something that you like, you tell your mom, hey, I like this. You tell your dad, you tell your friends, hey, this is good. You should buy it. You're just recommending things. And it's funny because I think my wife asked my daughter something, or no, it was my mom. She asked my daughter something, and then to watch a movie, right? And then my mom asked my daughter, do you recommend me watching the movie? And my daughter didn't really know what recommend meant. You get me? So we explained it to her, and she's like, yes, you should watch the movie. So it's just like a little story, but just recommending things that you like to other people. That's the best thing you can do, and especially if you have an affiliate link attached to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, it's like I love recommending restaurants or meat markets or fish markets or whatever, but that doesn't make me any money. But if I recommend products that have an affiliate link, Well, there you go. And that's it. You're not really selling anything other than yourself as an affiliate marketer. You sell yourself first, you build trust first. And I think the easiest way to build trust is two ways, and you should do both. Help people, that builds trust, right? And then your story, right? If they find that they can relate to you through your story, that's gonna build a lot of trust. It's just that commonality or whatever it is. It's just people like that. They like to follow people that they see themselves in, so to speak. I think don't you think that's true?
Yep, 100%. I mean, they see you, they feel something first of all, and they feel that they can relate to you, and then that's what draws people to take action. And it doesn't matter whatever you're promoting. You get me? So now let's shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about a little bit about focus. Like how easy it is to lose focus on something, especially when you're starting something new. Do you have any experience with that? Like how, maybe you were doing really good with a program and then you kind of lost focus on it. Is there like a framework that you have to like refocus all your things into the main goal that you want to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could give a framework, but to me, it just came down to practice, right? And it's just practice and recognizing the signs. And I was thinking about this last night, as a matter of fact. Um, Recently, or not recently, but within the last 15 months or so, I've shifted all of my focus, or the majority of my focus, to promoting my own program. And for the most part, I've never really done that. I've created courses and sold them to my list and so on and so forth over the years. And I've created coaching programs and sold them to my list. And that's been great. That was just a way for me to connect with people and give added value and stuff like that and make extra money, of course. But for the most part, I've always been an affiliate. And so when I was building my own program, there was a point where obviously in the beginning it's exciting, and especially if you have an email list, you launch a program and all this money starts coming in. And you're like, I'm the greatest in the world. But then there's obviously going to be a lull after that, and that kind of goes with whatever you're promoting. And if you're an affiliate, it's really easy to switch. If you're creating your own program, it's like, well, shoot, I'm kind of stuck to this thing now. And I remember feeling not like I wanted to throw in the towel, but I remember thinking, what was I thinking creating my own program? I should have just stayed an affiliate, right? I mean, what am I doing to myself, giving myself all this extra work and all this extra struggle and all these extra components that I have to dial in and optimize? And, it's just like, what did I do? Now, I knew from experience that if I just got through that, then obviously it would be a good decision long term. But I remember having those feelings. And for me, it's always the valley of despair. It's like you see something new and you don't know anything about it. So it seems like the greatest thing in the world. And that's shiny object syndrome right there. And once you start diving into it and you go full force, you start learning things about it. And the more you learn about it, you're like, oh, wait, maybe this is going to have some challenges associated with it, because everything has challenges associated with it. So that becomes the informed pessimism, where you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And then it gets a little bit harder and you're like, I give up. I can't do this. You're in the valley of despair at that point. And then what happens? Well, when you're in the valley of despair, when you're feeling the worst, you see something that you know nothing about, and that uninformed optimism looks really, really sexy. So you go jump to that. And that is a perfect picture of shiny object syndrome. But the framework here is, when you're getting in that valley of despair, you're like, oh, I thought this was going to be easier. Okay, what's the next step? Well, the next step is informed optimism, where you start to think, okay, this is going to be hard, but everything's hard. Let's learn more and see if we can figure it out. And if you're talking about affiliate marketing, maybe you're like, okay, now I'm starting to understand this whole funnel thing. Okay, now I'm starting to see how to connect my domain to my funnel. Okay, now I understand how to connect my email capture page to my email list. Okay, cool. And then you start to learn more and more. Now you're not making any money yet, but you got to focus on getting to that point where, like, all right, now I know more and I'm starting to be a little bit optimistic. Maybe I can do this, because once you get to that point, the only step left is success. So That's kind of the you have to know, I guess, if you're looking for a framework, you have to know you're going to go on that journey no matter what you do. So recognize the signs and be stronger than the pull of the shiny object. And that's, once again, something I've learned from experience going through it again and again and again. How about you? When
Yeah,
you
because
get
not every day is happy. You get me? You have your ups and downs. Uh, like for me at least, it's a battle. Like I feel like I'm in a constant battle with my with myself, basically, right? Like I'm always fighting me, and that's just how I feel. Like I feel like I'm super hard on myself with anything that I do, and it helps me sometimes. But then also sometimes it's like bad on myself. You get me? Because I just lose focus. I get distracted, and just how you said it, like you have to understand that those things will happen. Like you go into something new, and don't ever think that that's just gonna be up. It's all gonna be happy. You have to understand that things will not be happy sometimes. But then you just have to push through those days. Not every day is happy for me. With myself. Of course I'm happy. Everybody around me is happy. I'm happy with everybody around me. But with myself, not every day I'm happy. So that's just something that it's hard to work on, but every day is it's a it's I am working on it every single day. And then you
yeah,
lose focus. I lose focus all the time too. And but I do remind myself what I need to be done, or like I know what I needs to be done, basically, because I've been doing this for 2 years already. So I know what needs to get done. Do I get it done every day? Probably not. You get me? But I know what it takes. I've been at the top once. I've been at the bottom also. So I know what needs to get done. So I just have to push through those stages. And I'm sure that's gonna be for everybody. Like doing this podcast, I get motivated with you, like I'm glad we are partners in this, you get me? Because you motivate me, I motivate you. And but we don't really talk about that type of struggle that we have, because some days maybe I might feel like, yeah, I don't want to record a podcast today, for example. But it's like we don't really communicate like that. We just show up because that's just something that we ended up making together. So it's good to have that support 100%.
yeah, it is really helpful. And we've talked about this in the past too. Like a kind of the mindset hack is doing for others, right? You were successful because you wanted to provide for your family. I was successful because I wanted to provide for my family. We've had a lot of those other stories on here from people who were like, especially the stay-at-home moms who were like, oh, I got to go back to work, or the single moms that we've had on who were like, oh, I don't have time to take my daughter to the beach or whatever. It's like when you do for others, it makes it so much easier. And so for the podcast example, like there's days too where I don't want to record, and I'm like, oh, but I can't let Andrei down. So like, it's easy to show up. You know what I mean? Not that you would be mad at me, and I'm sure you would understand if something came up, but that's not how I think. It's just like, nope, I got to do it for Andrei. Let's go. And it makes it a lot easier. So the question is if maybe you don't have anyone that relies on you, right? Like let's say you're single, and you don't really have anybody to support because you don't have kids yet. It's like, well, where do you get the motivation? And for me, the motivation can come from helping your audience that you're going to build, right? Show up for the audience, because what that does is that removes all the pressure and all the stress. It's like you're going to be sitting there if you're brand new to this, and you're going to be getting ready to create a piece of content. And what's going to run through your head, especially if you're brand new to this? What are people going to think of me? What am I going to look like on camera? Well, what are you doing? You're making it all about you. What if instead of making it all about you, and we all go through this, so I'm not calling anybody out specifically. So if you're starting to feel bad about yourself while you're listening to this, stop it. Everybody goes through this. But what if instead of making it all about you, what if you say, hey, I learned this thing that can help people. I need to share it with as many people as possible. And then you do. And then you see people react and they're like, oh, thanks for sharing that. What's that going to do? I need to go learn more so I can share it with other people. And I know it sounds absolutely insane, but that takes away all the pressure. It keeps you motivated. And Like Zig Ziglar said, you help enough people get what they want, you can have everything you want. That is the secret to making money. And to a more positive note, right? We all go through this, and maybe it's comparison, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. You're sitting here, you're doing all this work, and you're seeing people who are making more, who have been doing this for less amount of time. That's really hard. But the other side of that is it's really good too. Like, I was in the Bahamas 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
You were in the snow with your family. I mean, how cool is that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know, it's a cool experience. I mean, it's a great experience, I can say, especially because we're not working anymore. We're not stuck at the restaurant anymore. And in the beginning, that was my motivation. I wanted to get the heck out of there. If you don't have somebody, if you're by yourself out there, and you want to change your life and you don't have that support system, use that motivation to get you out of the situation that you are 100%. You have to do that, especially if you're by yourself, you know, you don't, you eventually you're going to find people that support you, and that's part of the process as well. So just got to keep pushing through it. Some days are going to be, you're not going to feel motivated. Some days you might, but then if you push through it, just know that at the end of the road, you're going to find that happiness that you're looking for. And it has to be with, you know, your mental state, your financial state, with everything that you put your mind to.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just kind of looking behind the scenes here and seeing if I can find a little worksheet that I have. And because I think it's really relevant, there's going to be absolutely zero chance I'm going to be able to find this on the fly. So I shouldn't even look. But it's something that I learned from, let's see if this is it right here. This is something that I learned. Oh yeah, I'll share this right now. And go ahead and see if I can share my screen. So this is something that I actually have in my course now, but I'm going to share it anyways. And it's something that I've had in previous courses as well. And I actually learned this from Dean Graziosi. So let me see if I can share this. All right, Andrei, can you see this page right here?
Yeah.
All right. So this is the momentum slingshot. And basically what it says is there is 11 different steps to go from your current state to get to the next level. And if you're listening to the podcast here, you can come and see this over on YouTube. Just search the Evolved Marketing Podcast on YouTube and you'll be able to find us. But, when you start going, right, you can't just go from your current state to the next level, right? You got to get momentum. And the way you do that is you kind of create this loop that slingshots you to the next level. And I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but what I really like, which is kind of counterintuitive here, is, whoops, I just messed it up, is when you get down here, you got to have a harsh realization, like, is the first step in getting momentum. Like, oh crap, I want to make money and I don't know how to make money. So I got to find someone who can help me make money. And you start to go into this negative, like, oh, I'm not technical. Mm-hmm. I'm too old, like I don't look good on camera. Well, that is a healthy part of creating momentum, because what you do shortly after that is you're like, okay, cool. Those are my problems. How can I reverse that? Okay. I'm not technical. Okay, let's learn how to build a website, right? But down here, step number 6, I say, is imagine your painful future. And it's kind of what you were talking about, where it's like when you're looking for something to motivate you, like, what do you do? Well, you focus on what's really, really, really bad, right? And just lean into that, right? Like, absolutely, just like, this sucks. I need to do something, because that's going to be more motivating than, oh, I want to make $1 million so I can buy a Lamborghini. That'd be really cool. Right? Like, no one is going to go through all the effort to completely change their life just to buy a Lamborghini that they're going to drive for 2 months and then just hate because they're not comfortable to drive. Right? So you got to focus on the pain. And, like I always say, like, let's say I'm in my office right now. And let's say the company that runs the office decided it was Taco Tuesday. Hey, it is Tuesday. What if they said it was Taco Tuesday, right? They put out a big taco buffet. Like, I freaking love tacos, right? And it's probably one of my favorite foods. But I'm in the middle of a podcast right now. Am I going to go, even though it'd be really pleasurable to go eat a bunch of tacos right now, am I going to stop this podcast and go eat No, because the pleasure is not a big enough motivator. But what happens if this office caught on fire right now? Would I stop this podcast? Sorry to say so, Andrei, but yes, I'm out. We'll finish it up later on. And that's because the pain of burning alive is a pretty powerful motivator. So if you can kind of lean into whatever really, really sucks, that's okay. That's a really powerful tool that you can use.
So you're saying we should be scared. We should go through our lives scared so we can be motivated to get out of there, right?
Yeah, I mean, not scared, but realize like we can change what we don't like as long as we understand what we don't like and we want to change, right? Because I don't know if it was someone said it on the podcast, like we go through life in a way that is just good enough not to suck sometimes. Well, that's terrible, right? We have the power to make it as amazing as we want. Is it always going to be easy? No. Right? Are you going to go through those moments of self-doubt and sometimes even maybe self-hatred and regret for taking action and regret for not taking action and all that stuff that you go through? But in a long enough time frame, we have the opportunity to really invent our life. I have a quote on the board at home for my kids right now. It says, the person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Another way to put it is also like staying comfortable. You should never want to stay comfortable. There's more out there. If you think this is it for you, trust me, there's more out there for you. That's not it. Maybe that's all that's all you can give, right? And that's okay for those people. But those people that have big dreams, or those people that want something more than what they have, and at the same time they're comfortable, you have to try to achieve those things. You have to try to achieve those things. If the place that you are right now doesn't help you achieve those things, then you have to change where you are right now. If you don't do that, then what's gonna happen? I think you're gonna live a miserable life.
Yeah, and that's why it's like I'm certainly not opposed to having a few whiskeys at the end of the day. I don't want to put myself in a hole I'm not in, but I think that's why people, they're like are so self-medicated. It's like, and I'm not judging anybody, you know what I mean? I've certainly gone through periods of my life where I drink more than I should. But it's because, we're just trying to stay comfortable. And unfortunately, that's just a bad way to go through life. It's like you got to go out there and do those things you're not comfortable with. Because once you get good at something, I probably said it before, then you're ripe, right? And what happens when you're ripe? You're dying, right? Whereas if you're green, if you don't know how to do something, that's when you grow. And that's what life's all about, man. About growth and improvement and trying and getting to cooler places and better seats at better tables, status wise. And it's just a lot of fun. And if there's some people, if you're my age, if you're 43 years old, you're gonna be like, I'm too old for this. Well, God willing, you've got another 40 years or more left on this earth. So how would you like those last 38 years? It might take you 2 years to get to the point where you want to be. How would you like those last 38 years to look like? That'd be pretty cool. That's half your life of just, living it with the right mindset.
That got me thinking too, because there's a lot of people that are super successful out there and they don't become successful from the beginning. There's people that become successful when they're 40, when they're 50, when they're even 60 years old. That's when they finally made it. You get me? So it's like, don't rush it either. You get me? You can't just rush it. Like, you're seeing so many success stories, but you don't want to rush it. But something that I read, like people are in their prime when they reach their 40s. You get me? Like, you're not in your prime when you're 18. You're not in your prime when you're in your 20s, when you're 30s, Maybe you might have gotten like a good head start, but if nothing was handed to you, then you have to make it on your own, And then it might take you 40 years, it might take you 60 years, but if you don't stay comfortable, then you eventually will reach. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It will take as long as it takes. But eventually you will get there.
And that's the thing. If you weren't successful, let's say someone was not successful until they were 60 years old. That's when they became successful. Okay, when they are 70, do you think they care that they weren't successful for the first 60 years of their life? No, they were just like, I've been successful for 10 years. You know what I mean? I didn't start this, and I know this is young for some folks, but it's also old for some folks. I didn't even know what affiliate marketing was until I was 32. You know what I mean? Did I care that the first 32 years of my life I wasn't incredibly successful financially? I mean, I always had everything I needed, and I had a great time. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love my life. But no, I'm just like, what do I always say? I've been an affiliate marketer for 11 years. I've been a full-time affiliate marketer for going on 7 years now, almost 7 years. That's what excites me. So it doesn't matter how long it takes. It's going to take as long as it takes, because after you make it, A, you're still going to have struggles. Sorry to tell you. But B, you're not going to care how long it took once you do. But you want to get there.
Yep. I think that's a great way to finish this episode. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a great episode. What was the coolest thing you did while you're on vacation, just to take us out? We got pretty deep there for a second. Let's lighten it up and get everyone excited to come back to next week's episode.
So the coolest thing that we did was we went horseback riding through the mountains. Okay. So we did the whole thing. We went through a 3-mile trail. My daughter was riding her pony. She was leading us. We were just following her. And on the side, we had a beautiful lake. Then in the background, snow in the mountains. I gotta send you the video. I gotta show you the video. But yeah, it's just that experience, and just being there with my family, man. Like, we asked my daughter, what was your favorite part? And her actually telling us which part it was.
Yeah.
It just made everything worth it.
Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah. That's what it's all about. Like, I'm not one who's like, I need fancy things, right? Like, I don't have a watch. I'm not a watch guy. I know watches are big right now. I mean, I don't have one. I can afford a Rolex if I want. I don't have one. That's not what it does. That's not what excites me. What excites me is not only getting to spend time with family and realizing, like, hey, we want to go to the Bahamas? Let's go to the Bahamas. I mean, I never went anywhere as a kid other than, my family's cabin up north or camping, you know what I mean? Which is, I'm not dogging my parents. I had a great childhood. But it's like, that's so cool. But the other thing about it is like, my wife, she wanted to swim with the dolphins. Andrei, what a freaking racket. I don't even want to tell you how expensive it was to actually swim with the dolphins for all 4 of us, but I could say yes. My kids wanted to go fishing. So instead of getting on a charter with 40 other people, we just rented our own 38-foot. It was a 38-foot Tiara Sport Fisher, and it was awesome. It was just me, my 2 kids, and the captain and the first mate. We had the boat to ourselves. I could say yes to that. And it's not about the physical things that I'm getting. It's about being able to not give my kids or my wife everything they want, but just being able to spend the time with them in a way that is, pretty magical. And so that's kind of what it was for me. But yeah, this is a great episode, huh?
Hey, I love when it's just me and you. Even though, like, of course, we love our amazing guests that we have, but this is why we started this.
Yeah.
We're just having a conversation, a fun old hiking life, and we're like, somebody should have recorded this.
Yep.
And that's where everything started happening, and we took action. That's the main thing. We took action.
That's exactly it. We didn't decide on it for too long. We just kind of jumped into it, and boy, I'm glad we did. So I would like to thank everybody who tuned in and made it to the end of this episode. We do have some amazing guests on the books, so you'll get to hear some new perspectives. I know we're recording another interview tomorrow with a good friend of ours and someone I've known for a couple of years. He's a really interesting fella, and he has a good podcast, so he should be a great interview, and that'll come out next week. But until then, Andrei, I'll see you soon, huh?
Cool. See you, man. Bye, everybody.